going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? And welcome here today to my first mock draft for the 2020 NBA draft. So yeah, this is going to be my inaugural mock draft 1.0. We are going to be doing the lottery for this upcoming draft. Now, a couple things I need to explain before we get into the video. So this is my mock draft, not my big board. So this is where I think these players could get drafted or what these teams would take. This isn't like saying that this player is better than this player because I have them higher. That will come later on down the line. Right before the draft, I'll have my final big board. But this is just what I think some teams could do based off team need, maybe what they've done in the past. Also, I'm recording this a couple days before February 1st, so the lottery might have switched up a little bit. Some of these teams might not be in the spot they're in today. And yeah, this is just my opinion. I think it's going to be really fun. We are starting at the Warriors at number 1, going down to the Spurs at 14. Let me know in the comments what you agree, what you disagree with. And let's get into the video. So with the number 1 pick in my mock draft 1.0, I have the Golden State Warriors selecting Anthony Edwards, guard out of Georgia. So Anthony Edwards could be the consensus number 1 college player at this moment. He's actually more of a wing than probably a guard. He's probably going to be a 2 in the NBA, but could definitely play the 3 due to his defensive upside. He could work well in small lineups in Golden State. He could be at the 3 or the 4 with Draymond at the 5. He's shooting about 31% on threes this season. He's taking about 7.5 a night, and he's shooting 73% on free throws on about 5 attempts a night. He's averaging 18 points a game for the Georgia Bulldogs in college. The upside is definitely there. He's only 18 years old, and I think the potential, what everybody sees in Anthony Edwards, could warrant him to be a top pick in the draft. It's hard for the Warriors because, hey, they're so good already. They don't have a lot of holes in their starting lineup, but I have them taking Anthony Edwards with the number 1 overall pick. So with the second pick in the draft, I have the Atlanta Hawks taking James Wiseman. So I honestly think if James Wiseman played a full college season this year, he would have been the number 1 player picked in this draft. But I think due to him playing only 3 games, it will drop him. I think he would have by far been the consensus number 1 big in this draft, but Anjou Kongwu, who we'll talk about later from USC, is challenging him for that spot. It's a weak big man draft, so his value is higher than what it would normally be if there was a lot of good centers or power forwards in this draft. He's a traditional big and really hasn't shown any signs of spacing the floor, but we've heard the rumors that Atlanta is interested in upgrading at that center position. There have been in rumors for Steven Adams, Andre Drummond, Dwayne Dedmon, so this might be a move that they can do without having to give up an asset, and I think he could fit well with John Collins and Trae Young. With the third pick in the 2020 NBA draft, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers taking Melo Ball. So yeah, I know, this is the 3rd straight year the Cavs would then be selecting a point guard in this draft, but I think Cleveland, if they took LaMelo, would look to move on from Sexton or Garland because I think LaMelo is better than both of them. LaMelo is a tricky prospect though. He might be the trickiest prospect in this draft. In his 12 games played in the NBL this year, he's averaged about 38% from the field, 25% from 3, and 73% from the line. There's big questions about his defense, either if it's his motor or it's just he's not as strong or as quick on that side of the floor. But the offensive potential is definitely there. People saying he's definitely better than his brother Lonzo. And like I said, if the Cavs took him at number 3, I think they would look to move on from Sexton or Garland and try to upgrade at the 4 or the 5. I think they would love to get James Wiseman at number 3, but in this mock draft, Wiseman's gonna not be on the board for them, so I have them taking Melo Ball. With the 4th pick in this draft, I have the New York Knicks taking Cole Anthony, point guard out of North Carolina. The Knicks desperately need their franchise point guard. Dennis Smith Jr. might be one of the worst players in the NBA this season, and we've learned that Frank Ntilikina probably isn't a starting caliber point guard on a good team. Point guard is by far the most deep position in this draft, and Cole Anthony might arguably be the best point guard in this draft. He suffered a knee injury at UNC, so he hasn't been playing over these last couple weeks, but he might be coming back soon. He wasn't super efficient on 2s, but he did shoot 36% on 3s this year. He wasn't too bad on defense in the small sample size he had. He could fit well with RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson. And like I said, the Knicks desperately need their franchise point guard. I think they would take LaMelo here, but since LaMelo was picked prior, I have them taking Cole Anthony. With the 5th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves taking Tyrese Halliburton. So Halliburton is a combo guard out of Iowa State. He can definitely play point guard though, and I think that's what the Timberwolves definitely need next year. With Cole Anthony and LaMelo Ball off the board, it came down to Halliburton, RJ Hampton, Killian Hayes, and Rico Mannion. I chose Halliburton due to his experience. He's the only sophomore that I just listed, and I think they choose experience here because the T-Wolves desperately need to be good next season if they want to keep Karl-Anthony Towns happy, because there's already been signs this year that he hasn't been super happy with that team. Yes, Hampton, Hayes, or Manning could be better down the line than Halliburton, but I think that they don't want to wait and have a project point guard and I think they're going to take Halliburton with the 5th overall pick. With the 6th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, I have the Washington Wizards taking Deni Avdija, who's a forward out of Israel. So with John Wall coming back to the Wizards next year, they could be a playoff team in the East, even without this draft pick. Because they have Bradley Beal, Rui Hachimura, Davis Bertans, Ish Smith doesn't seem like he's that bad, Jordan McRae, Thomas Bryant, Mo Wagner. They have pieces to be an 8 seed in the Eastern Conference. So I think this allows them to take a high-risk, high-reward player in Deni Avdija, who currently plays for Maccabi Tel Aviv. Avdija is a 6'9" small forward, which the small forward position is a need of the Wizards, because Rui is a power forward, and I forgot to mention Troy Brown Jr., but he might not be starter caliber for them. The risk is Avdija is only playing 18 minutes per game in Israel, and he's only averaging 6.5 points a game. He's shooting 52% from the field and 33% on threes. He's definitely super raw at this moment, but he could be the risk Washington can take. With the 7th pick in the NBA draft, I have the Charlotte Hornets taking Onyeka Okongwu, a big man out of USC. The Hornets most likely have their 1 through 4 set in stone next year, and that being Devontae Graham, Terry Rozier, Miles Bridges, and PJ Washington, and they will be most likely in the market for a starting center. Onyeka Okongwu is the best center on the board in my opinion, and I have the Hornets taking him with the number 7 pick. People are viewing O Squared as a top 5 talent in this draft, and he might have the case as the best defensive big in this draft. With the 8th overall pick in the draft, I have the Detroit Pistons selecting RJ Hampton. With Reggie Jackson becoming a free agent, Drummond most likely out the door, and Blake Griffin's future health up in the air, the Pistons are starting their rebuild finally. They're done being mediocre. I believe they are finally starting their rebuild. They have Sekou Doumbouya, they have Luke Kennard, and they are looking to add to that in this draft. So with the 8th overall pick in this draft, I have the Pistons taking RJ Hampton. Like Deni Avdija, isn't in a volume role on his international squad. He's only averaging 9 points, 2 assists, and 4 rebounds on 41% from the field, 30% from 3, and 68% from the line shooting splits. I think like Doumbouya and Deni Avdija, I think he's going to be a project player. He's raw, he's young, but I think Detroit can wait on that because they are starting their rebuild. I don't think they want to be good next year, or at least I think it would be better for them not to be good. And I think Hampton could be a nice building block with Kennard and Sekou. With the 9th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, in my mock draft, I had the Sacramento Kings selecting Killian Hayes out of France. Now the Kings are in a weird spot. They'll have a top 10 pick in this draft most likely, but they're already going to have their starting 5 next year in Fox at the 1, either Hield or Bogdanovich at the 2, depending if they bring Bogey back, Harrison Barnes at the 3 because they're paying him all that money, Marvin Bagley at the 4, they just took him with the number 2 overall pick last year, and Rashawn Holmes at the 5. So with that being kind of set in stone, I have been taking a combo guard with the 9th overall pick in Killian Hayes. Killian Hayes is now the 4th non-NCAA player drafted in the top 10, going along with Deni Avdija, RJ Hampton, and LaMelo Ball. He's had 3 years of experience in France playing back when he was 16, 17, and 18. He could be a nice 1 or 2 off the bench for Sacramento next year, probably more of a 2 if they don't bring back Bogey, because they do have Corey Joseph at the moment, and I think the Sacramento Kings are definitely going all in next year. They want to make it back to where they were last year in that playoff race, and I think Killian Hayes could help their team. Moving over to double digits now with the 10th overall pick in the draft, I have the Chicago Bulls taking Tyrese Maxey, a combo guard out of Kentucky. The reason I say combo guard is because Maxey is listed at 6'3", but when you watch him on the floor, he does look smaller than he is at 6'3". I got to watch him in person against Ohio State in Vegas a couple months ago, and he doesn't really look 6'3" on the court, but like the Kings, the Bulls might already have their starting 5 next season in Kobe White, Zach LaVine, Otto Porter if he opts in, Lauri Markkanen, and Wendell Carter Jr. The only thing that might be different for them, and what should be different for them, is their head coach. Maxey's currently averaging 13 points, 3 assists, and 4 rebounds in 33 minutes per game at Kentucky. His shooting percentages are 43% from the field, 31 from 3, and 82 from the line. He could be a really nice rotational piece for Chicago next year and might be better than Kobe White. Chicago most likely needs to win next year, because if they don't, management might look to shop one of their young starter players. With the 11th pick, I have the New Orleans Pelicans selecting Rico Mannion. With Lonzo Ball becoming a restricted free agent in 2021, the Pelicans might not know if he's their point guard for the future at the price he might be getting in free agency. So with the 11th pick, I have them taking point guard Rico Mannion out of Arizona. Mannion is now the 6th point guard / combo guard I have already been selected in this lottery. Mannion could also replace Frank Jackson as the backup point guard for next year's season, and who knows, maybe if he plays well for them next year, he could take over that starting role and they'll feel comfortable letting Lonzo walk in free agency. With the 12th pick in the draft, I have the Portland Trailblazers selecting Isaac Okoro, wing out of Auburn. Now, this is an absolute steal for Portland, getting arguably the best perimeter defender at pick 12. Portland needs defense, even with the Ariza maybe coming back, Nasir Little taking a step. I think they still want to address that side of the ball. Like I said, arguably the best perimeter defender is still on the board in Isaac Okoro. Okoro, out of Auburn, has been fantastic this season on the defensive side of the ball, and I think Portland would love to add his defense in their hopeful playoff push next season. Moving over to the last two picks of the lottery, the first one is pick 13. I have the Phoenix Suns selecting Obi Toppin, forward out of Dayton. With Darius Arch becoming a restricted free agent this June, Phoenix might be in the market for a new power forward to pair with DeAndre Ayton in that front court. So I have them selecting possibly the biggest sophomore draft riser this season in Obi Toppin. Toppin will be 22 when he will be starting his rookie season, so a little bit on the older side, but I think he has all the tools to being a good power forward in the NBA. He's a menace on the defensive end, and he's shooting 34% on threes this season, which is nice to see. And with the 14th and final pick of this draft lottery, I have the San Antonio Spurs selecting Jada McDaniels. So McDaniels is a 6'10 forward out of Washington. He's a super interesting prospect just because he's been inconsistent the whole season. At some points, he's looked like a top 10 talent, and other times he looks like he might not even be a first round talent. San Antonio at the back end of the lottery might look to take a potential DeRozan or Aldridge replacement down the line with this pick. In that backcourt, they already have Bryn Forbes, DeJounte Murray, Derek White, so they might be looking for somebody that isn't a guard, and I think McDaniels could be that guy. So yeah, that is going to be for me. I hope you guys enjoyed my first mock draft of the 2020 draft. Like I said, this is just a mock draft. This isn't my big board. I'm not saying that Obi Toppin isn't as good as Anjou Kongwu or James Wiseman is better than Tyrese Halliburton. This is just a mock draft. My final big board will be when I'm done watching all college film. Probably a week before the draft, I would have my final big board. Well, I really stuttered on big board. But yeah, these are super fun to do. I'll probably do one maybe at the end of the regular season or at the end of the college season, so like at the end of March. But yeah, we have a lot of college basketball left to watch this season, so a lot of these rankings can change or placements can change. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let's see if we can maybe hit 1,000 likes on this video, and let me know in the comments what you think of the pick I had for your team. Like, were you okay with it? Do you hope that happens? Do you hope that not happens at all? Just let me know in the comments below. But yeah, that is gonna be for me. Thank you all for watching. Hope you guys have a great Sunday. Hope you enjoy the Super Bowl. I don't know who I'm picking. I'll take Chiefs over Niners. Why not? Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP. Probably be wrong. But yeah, I love you guys, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace.